Jared Quintana coming to you from the Beehive. Remember these cute note cards from yesterday? Well, today I'm going to show you how to make a super cute box to put them in. So this box opens up at the top, and inside you can put your note cards and envelopes, and this one I think could hold about 10 note cards and envelopes. I have put 5 note cards and envelopes in mine. But not only that, this box would make a really cute candy box, and I have taken some saltwater taffy from Trader Joe's, and it's this one that comes in this package right here, and I've added it to the inside of the box and then created a cute little tag to put on the front from the Cool Treats stamp set, and now it's become a fun candy box which you could also give as a gift. Aren't these boxes just adorable? So let's not wait a moment more. Let me show you how to make this cute box. To start off with, you're going to need your Simply Scored scoring board, and you're going to need a piece of thick Whisper White cardstock. And I've cut this piece to 8.5 inches by 8 inches. And I'm going to put the 8.5 inch side up at the top of my scoring board. And then I'm going to score at the 3 3/4 inch mark and the 4 3/4 inch mark. Then you need to turn your cardstock to the 8 inch side and place that up at the top. And then you're going to score at the 3/8 inch mark, the 1 3/8 inch mark, the 6 5/8 inch mark, and the 7 5/8 inch mark. Now you're going to need your Stampin' Trimmer because we're going to cut a window into the front of the box. You're going to need to extend this arm here on the side, and then you're going to take one of the 8 inch sides of the cardstock and put it at the top of the trimmer. I'm going to line this piece up with the 1 7/8 inch mark right here at the top of my trimmer. I'm going to make sure my cutting blade is up at the top. And then I'm going to lift this up without cutting it, and I'm going to move my cutting blade to the 1/2 inch mark. And then you're going to bring your guide down and you're going to cut from the 1/2 inch mark just up until the 3 1/4 inch mark, like that. And let me hold this up to the camera so you can see it's cut a slot into my cardstock. Now I'm going to cut on the same 8 inch side, but I'm going to flip it to the opposite side. So now my cut mark is over here on the right hand side. And again, now I'm going to line this piece up with the 1 7/8 inch mark, move my cutting blade up to the top, and I'm going to lift off my guide and I'm going to move my cutting blade over to the 1/2 inch mark, and then I'm going to bring my cutting guide down, and again I'm going to cut from the 1/2 inch mark to the 3 1/4 inch mark. Next we're going to remove our cardstock and we're going to turn it a 1/4 turn to the right. So now your cut lines are right here and right here on the right hand side. Your 8.5 inch side will now be up at the top, and you're going to line it up with the 8 inch mark right over here on the arm. Once you have that straight along the top, you're going to move your cutting blade over, and we're going to cut from the 1 7/8 inch mark to the 6 1/8 inch mark. Now those numbers might be a little bit hard to figure out on here, but all you need to remember is you're going to look for the little triangle on your cutting blade, and you're going to line it up with the cut line you already made on the top and the bottom. And so you're just going to cut from that cut line down like that. Then you're going to shift your cardstock to the 5 1/4 inch mark over here, and you're going to do the same thing. So again, we're lining up this cutting blade up with the 1 7/8 inch mark, and we're going to cut down to the 6 1/8 inch mark. But basically we're just cutting this window out, so you're cutting from this cut line to that cut line, like that. And now you'll have a window that pops out like this. So next we just need to cut some tabs into this piece. So I've created a bit of a cutting guide to show us where to cut. So we're going to have the window facing towards us, and we're going to cut up along this score line and that score line. We're going to do that on both sides, and I will make sure I post a photo of this template on my blog so that you can refer to it. So let's start off with cutting along this first score line here on the right, and we're going to cut all the way along till we hit the last score line. So just take your paper snips and go cutting along here until you reach that score line right there. And then if you want to, you can cut over from the side right here and cut this long skinny piece off like that. Then we're going to go to the next score line over, and we're also going to cut up along it to the same point where we cut that first one. All the way like that. This time we're going to cut off right here instead, because we're going to create a little tab like that. Okay, let's do this for the opposite side. So we're going to take this long skinny one and we're going to cut up along the left hand side right through the first score line just till you get to the second score line. And then I'm going to cut off that skinny tab right on the end. And then we're going to cut along this score line right here. And we're going to cut to the same point as the other one, but we're going to leave this tab intact right here. So we're just going to cut along here like that. So this is what it looks like when you've got it all cut up and ready to assemble. So now we need to fold this piece along all the score lines. So let's go ahead and do that. Doing the sides first. And then we need to fold this piece. That's going to be our window. And then let's fold this back piece right here like that. Now we need to take some Tombow, or if you prefer, you can use tear and tape. And I'm going to put, first of all, some Tombow on these bottom tabs. And I'm going to bring this in like this. You want to make sure when you're folding up a box that your corners are square so that they line up and look nice and neat. I want to do that same thing with the other tab on the other side. So put some glue on that bottom tab and then bring it in. And you're just going to make sure that everything looks nice and square. And then we've just got these two front tabs right here, and this is going to glue up together like this. So I'm going to put glue on this tab right here, and I'll put glue on this tab right here. I'm going to adhere one at a time though. So I'm just going to bring this up and make sure it lines up nicely with my side. I want a nice square box. And then when that side looks good, come in and let's do the other side. Make sure it lines up nicely on the edge. Like that. And there you have the base for your box. Now, if you wanted to turn this into a candy box, you will want to put a piece of window sheet in here, and the size of that window sheet would be 5 inches by 3.5 inches. And I would have added that with tear and tape, and I would have done that before I glued the box together to make it a little easier. Next, we're going to make the lid of the box, so you'll need your Simply Scored again, and you'll need a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock. And I've cut this piece to 6 3/4 inches by 2 5/8 inches. And we're going to score this at the 3 1/4 inch mark on all 4 sides. So score your first side and then just keep rotating it and score it at the 3 1/4 inch mark on all those 4 sides. And here is the scored lid, and I'm just going to cut along some of the score lines to make tabs. So I have one of the long sides facing towards me, and I'm going to cut up just until I hit the first score line, and then I'm just going to make a few little cuts to make it easier for the tabs to come together. So I'm cutting up to the first score line, and then I'm just angle cutting my tabs just a wee bit, just to make it easier to come together. Then I'm going to turn this to the other long side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Cut along that score line till you hit the first score line, and then I'm just going to do some angle cutting to make these tabs come together a little easier. Cut along the score line till you meet the first score line, and then you're just going to do some cutting to make them easier to come together, like that. So now you need to fold this piece along all the score lines. And then let's bring this piece together. So I'm going to put Tombow on both of these short tabs. Let's bring this together. Make sure again you're lining it up nicely on the corners, and do that for the other side. Make sure it's squared. Make sure that edge lines up nicely with that score line. Now for the other side, let's put some Tombow on these 2 last tabs. And then let's bring this in. Make sure you're doing a good job of lining it up so it looks nice and neat. And then bring this last one in. Like that. And that is the base for the lid. Now let's create the awning. So to create the awning, I need a base piece, and I'm going to use regular Whisper White cardstock for this, and I've cut this piece to 5 1/4 inches by 2 inches. Then to create the awning pieces, I'm going to use my classic label punch. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to punch 7 Flirty Flamingo pieces and 7 thick Whisper White pieces. So this is what they look like. I've saved some time by not punching them all out on camera. So to create the awning, we're going to glue these strips alternately on this piece of Whisper White. So to make it a little easier, I'm going to put Tombow on half this piece so I don't have to glue the whole time. So for this first piece, I'm going to glue it on the end, and I'm going to make sure that one of the ends lines up with this long side, and you'll see that one end is going to be sticking right off the end of the Whisper White. We definitely want that, so do not fear. So one end lines up with the Whisper White and the other one just comes off of it a bit. And then you're just going to alternate thick Whisper White with Flirty Flamingo all the way down this strip. So I'm going to fast forward this now. And there is the last piece glued on. If you have any excess cardstock over on the end, just trim it off with your paper snips. Next, we're going to take this piece and we're going to cut one of the sides straight. Now, we don't want to cut this beautiful jagged side because that's going to be the front of our awning. We want to cut off this piece where we can see the whisper white peeking through. So I'm going to line this piece up with a 1 3/4 inch mark. So just make sure it's straight up at the top and make sure your little points are touching along the 1 3/4 inch mark. Then you can bring your arm down and you can cut along this piece. You might need to go twice because you're cutting through 2 layers of cardstock. And then you can just lift this off, and this is the leftover piece right here. You can throw that out. Then you're going to need your Simply Scored scoring board again and bring in your awning piece back, and the side that you just cut you're going to put along the left side of the scoring tool. Then you're going to score at the 5/8 inch mark and the 1 3/8 inch mark. Then you're going to fold this piece along the score lines. Like that. And set this piece aside for a moment. So next you're going to need your Simply Scored scoring board again, and we are going to create a piece to support the back of the awning. So I've got a piece of regular Whisper White cardstock here, and I've cut it to 2.5 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to put one of the 2.5 inch sides up at the top, and I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark, the 1 1/4 inch mark, and the 2 inch mark. Then I'm going to take this piece and fold it along all the score lines. And on one of the skinny end segments, I'm just going to put Tombow all along the segment. And then I'm going to bring this piece together to form a triangle. So if you have trouble getting the pieces to come together, you can use something that's small like the end blades of a scissor. You can kind of just press along there, so you can have something to press along there to bring this triangular piece together so it sticks together. So this is what it looks like on the end, and it's kind of like a long skinny triangle. Then we can bring our awning piece back in, and you'll notice that this triangle has 2 longer sides and 1 short skinny side. You're going to put Tombow on one of the longer sides. So put Tombow all along one of the bigger sides. The short side is going to face to the bottom when you put in the awning. So the long side is going to come across here, and the short side is going to face towards these little jagged end pieces that are sticking out. So you're going to bring these together and line them up like this. Again, if you want a little pressure, you can use your blade of your scissor to kind of get a little pressure to help adhere those 2 pieces together. So now you have a piece that looks like this. And then you can bring your lid back in, and this piece is going to fit along the front edge of the box like that. So you're going to put glue on this piece and on the long side of the triangle. So let me do that. Put glue along the last long side of that triangle, and then that piece that's going to form the top. So then you're going to bring it in to the lid, and it's going to come together like so. You can see how it's coming together, and you can give it a little pressure. I've got my thumb on the underside of the lid. I'm kind of going along and pressing things together. You're going to want to do this for that triangular piece too, so that it stays down. If you need help with that triangular piece, you can use your scissors again and just kind of use that to have some pressure, so you can press the lid against there and get a nice seal with the lid. And there you go. There is the lid of the box. So then all you need to do is bring back in the base of your box, and you've got your note cards already stamped from yesterday, and you can slip them inside. You can put your 5 envelopes inside to match your note cards, and then all you need to do is add the lid to the top of the box. Now there's just one more thing that I like to do with this box. I like to add a little bow, and to do that I simply add some 3/8 inch classic weave ribbon, and this color is Whisper White, and I've already tied myself a little bow, and so now I just need to use a mini glue dot and stick that on the knot of my bow, and then I can use that to stick it down to the top of my box. So there you go. There's a really cool note card box, and I know someone is going to love to get this set of note cards. And if you don't want to stamp note cards, remember, you can find some fun candy to put inside this box. For this one, I just stamped a tag from the Cool Treat stamp set. I cut it out with a 2-inch circle punch, and then I used a starburst punch piece and I put it behind the 2-inch circle piece. Then I added a little glitter acrylic shape to the front just to finish it off. Aren't these just adorable? All the supplies you'll need to make these cute boxes are available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now. If you like this tutorial, be sure to check out all the free with purchase tutorials available on my blog. The Hershey's Nugget gift tutorial is just one of the exclusive tutorials that you can choose free with a minimum purchase in my Stampin' Up! Store. Hi, it's Brenda again. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also visit my blog for more information on my projects and to learn about my rewards program, or just watch another one of my videos. Thanks for watching.